What's good, people? It's Lewis of bbrights and I am back for a brand new video. Today we're going to be working on part 3 of our SaberZ from start to finish track. It's been a while, but we're getting back into it. So for this episode we're going to be working on the drums for the drop, just so we can get that out of the way. So we're going to be working on the big kick drum, and then some claps and percussion, and then we'll probably see where we can go from there. For the last 2 episodes we worked on the drop melody for part 1 and the break melody for part 2, so they sound like this. So that's the drop melody, and then this is the break melody we come up with. So that was that. So yeah, today's episode, part 3, we're going to be working on the mainly the big room kick, the drop kick, just because it's a very, very important part for big room. We're actually going to be using we're going to be using 3 parts. We're going to be using a punch, a sub, and then a more gritty tonal high-end part to cover the mid-range and the higher end. So for the punch, we're going to be using a kick from Hydrogen EDM3, if I can find it. Drum hits, kicks. It's called Salvation. I've used it in a couple tracks that I've been working on. It's coming out in a couple months. That's the one right there. That's the kick we're going to be using. That's the punch. For the sub, we're actually going to be using a kick from a SaberZ track themselves. I think it's either Nebula or I think it is Nebula, or the other track they released. I think it's Waiting for Love or something like that. I can't remember what it is called. But that is in this folder here. And it's this one here. The reason I'm going to be using this is because it is a SaberZ kick, so it would help. And it's also in the key of E, which is the key of the melody. So we're going to be using that. As you can tell, there's a bit of noise in it, because it was cut directly from the track. So we're going to be using the sub from this, the punch from the Salvation kick here, and then for the high end we're going to find something afterwards. So the main thing here is to get the kick and the sub, the punch and the sub to fit well together. So we can hide the browser. And let's get into it. So for the punch, usually you only want the punch to last around the first bar, or the first beat of the bar, or maybe a half. So like this is the punch, and then the sub of the kick fades in around this part here, and then it carries the rest. So if we're going to name this, we'll name this kick punch. Make it that wonderful colour. We're going to chop this bit off, and we're going to turn the declicking modes to generic, so it gives a nice little fade. That sounds like that. We'll turn it down a little bit because we're going to do some EQing, and EQing adds volume. So the first thing you can see, this 2.9/3 kilohertz range is very dull, so we're going to give that a nice little bell curve. Like that. So you see in the top left here, it gives you what you're boosting, the dB, the percentage, the hertz. So for this band number 7, we're going to boost it around 1.5 decibel, just to give it a bit more click, maybe 2. And then finally we're going to boost number 1 by 1 decibel. Like I said, there's no rules. Rules are made to be broken, so if you think boosting the low end is bad or anything, it's not. Maddox does it. Many EDM producers just boost the low end because it gets the result they want, gives it more sub, so why not? So that's so you can tell before and after. That's before, just a little more brighter, a little more snappy. There's no reason to compress or any of this because it is from Hydrogen themselves. It's quite a popular EDM samples pack, so all this has been processed, EQ'd and compressed already, but we just do a little bit of EQing ourselves just because we want that nice attack to the kick. Now the main important thing now is getting the punch of the kick and the sub of the kick to sit well, because if we play them both together, it doesn't sound nice, and we don't want the punch of this kick. So as you can see by the waveform, this part is very different to this part. That's because this has been distorted, so there's more harmonics, blah blah blah, and it gradually gets filled up here. So you can see here, this is very similar to this because this is just a punch. But you can see around here, it begins to distort. So what we're going to do is probably around here is where it begins. And we want a nice transition, so we'll change this to generic as well so it fades in. And then we're going to hold Alt and then turn this bit here. There you go. Now the Windows thing popped up for some reason. So now what we're going to do now is add this to the mixer. Let's make this, call this SaberZ sub kick. And I'm just going to label it E so we know it's in the key of E. And you can still hear that this part here, if we were to duplicate this kick, if we chop it here, this part of the kick here, if we unmute it, the proper chest part, if you can only hear that if you're wearing headphones or speakers, you probably won't be able to hear that on phone speakers. That is clashing with this sub here, so we need to sidechain this part of the kick. So what I like to use is LFO tool. Grab that. I use the sidechain 6 one so we can customize it. So as you can see, the two squares here represents 1 bar here. So there's 4 little beats here. It's 4 beats to a bar. And if we look at LFO tool, the 2 squares here represents 1, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now with the standard sidechain it sounds like this. You hear the difference? Fades in. So what we want to do is we want it to come in around halfway through the second slash about a quarter in from the second beat. So we're going to bring this one around here. And then we're going to pull this knob here and then get rid of that clicking you can hear. Tie it down a little bit. Now if you can hear, we're almost there. So you can see here, you can see this frequency right here. If we exaggerate it, that's a very harmonic one which we need to get rid of. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little higher cut. And then if we exaggerate this a bit more just to so that's sounding good. Now if we see what it sounds like if we actually, there we go, so we can do that. Now if we just paste this for 4 bars and then add the drop melody so it get a general idea of what it's going to sound like. So we're getting there. So we're just going to let this run for a bar. You can hear the pump in here. It gets the groove going, makes you, or I'd hope so, makes you bounce your head. You can hear the groove. what we need to do now is find like some sort of harmonic just to cover the higher range around, just to cover the ones we cut off. We don't want too high a range up until like the 10 kHz, because obviously the drop tunes cover that bit, and the drums and the claps and hi-hats and rides, all that. Too many high ends build up and it makes a muddy mix and a messy mix. So we're going to look for a nice see what we got here. I made this one, so we could try this one here, what I made a while back. It's for another one of my songs. Obviously it's in the key of A sharp, so we need to pitch it down 6 semitones from A sharp to E. You can see there's quite big of a gap there, so we need to cut some of this excess one here, bring it back. And we're going to need to sidechain it too, so we're going to call this E tone because it's not an A sharp. So E tone, make it the same color. You can hear some of like nice mid range. We're going to dip it just a little bit. And we'll see what it sounds like with the same side chain. That's the sub. Let's place this. And we're going to grab another EQ. Let's give some of that crispiness. That's sounding pretty good. So we'll leave the kick for now. We'll make some adjustments in a later episode or a later date. And for now, we're just going to do the classic pitch bends that SaberZ do. The reason why it's so helpful now is that we have a punch, so the punch stays consistent, and we can pitch the sub and it won't sound weird, because usually back in the day people used to just pitch the entire kick. And you can hear the punch of the kick change as well because you're pitching it. But now we have full control over the sub pitch bend. So we're going to name this, it's probably going to go to G and then D back to E. So if we name this kick G, and then we'll pitch this up 3 because this goes from G to E. Obviously we need to change, we've muted these 3 tones. Make another unique here. And we're going to pitch this down 2 because it goes from E to D. And then we're going to need to do the same with these tones here. So if we duplicate that, call this G tone. So from A sharp we pitch it down 3. And this one's got to go even lower. This has got to go down 8. And what we're going to do here, for this kick here, for the last kick of the E, we're going to create a pitch bend automation to pitch up to the G. So we're going to put it on stretch. Change the pitch range to 3 because that means 3 semitones from E to G. Create a pitch bend automation, and then right here at this end kick here, halfway through we're going to do a pitch up. So we won't do the tone here because you don't really hear it that much. As you can see, it fades out halfway down here, so you don't really need to do it. So now we've got the basic kick out of the way. We'll do that. Just put that there. We're going to do this for another 4 bars. Obviously at the end you take the kick out, and you could probably extend this for 8 bars because we don't want the pitch going on there. So now it sounds, now we've got a nice 8-bar loop. I'm excited in some other drums. So we're going to use this wonderful Ollie James clap, snare, hi-hat, ride, all these different ones mixed to one, very helpful. Get this going. As usual, we get rid of the last bar because there's going to be a drum fill there. We're also going to use the SaberZ Tom. I think I downloaded like a SaberZ remake, and they had these samples in it. So we're gonna add this as well. I'll duplicate this for us. So this right here, this isn't going to be the drop, it's going to be the break area, but we're just going to move this. But this is the full drum loop for the drop. So for the second half, we're going to have the tom go in. You can probably guess what the rhythm's going to be. It's the same in every song. So, yeah. Classics tom fill or tom rhythm. It's the same in pretty much every big room song these days. And then here we're going to change it to that. And then the second half we're going to do that quick rapid tom roll. It sounds like this. Like that. Because it sounds incredible, so why not do it? See what other drums we can add. We could probably add this little tonal perk as well, because it's in the key of E. So we could actually follow the same rhythm. So if we name this tonal perk. There we go. Quickly get that done. That's good. Now what we want is, stop that. Sliced audio. Wonderful clap. This is going to be for the second half. You can hear and see some low end here. Unnecessary. And we might even make this a little wider as well. Love this big snare, one of my favorites. This is obviously going to go right here. Bring all that down. That goes in the nice gaps there. Nice big classic snare. we're going to do now is we're going to get a cashmere fill or a cashmere big snare. But we're only going to use the stretch it to 2 beats, reset the pitch. We're only going to use the pre-sweep here. That's all we want. We don't want the snare. We just want that cashmere pre-sweep. Name it that. Just because it helps with transition to the big snare. There's a nice rhythm. So far that's sounding good, so let's play it with a drop melody. And then we could probably end it there because we don't want to go too long. We're just getting the drop drums out of the way. This is essentially what we're going to be using. The only thing we will change is by adding some effects, crowds, hoovers, white noise, all that stuff. And maybe some extra small little detail drums. But we can only do that once we have the drop synths going, so we can know what to complement and what to not. So this is what bearing in mind it is piano, so it's not going to sound incredible, but it's what we have. And that is that. So it actually sounds pretty good for it being piano as well and very minimal drums. We made the kick 3 layers, a punch, the sub and the tonal higher part. A big snare, some toms and some claps. Very, very minimal. We're going to add to this a lot more. But that is pretty much it for part 3. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button. Helps the channel grow, makes me happy. I am back to my regular uploading schedule now. So I was meant to have a video yesterday, but obviously I was out, so this is why it's today. My next video will be on Friday, so tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon.